Hey, it's part 3 of our full dungeons guide. If you missed the first 2 parts, you can find the links in the description to learn about the basics of the catacombs and the gear you should be using. For this video though, we'll discuss strategies to beat every floor's boss, as well as anything unique to each floor that you'll have to deal with. So without further ado, here's the full guide. Also, it's been 3 days without me plugging the subscribe button and it's beginning to affect my health, so please subscribe so I can sleep at night today. Okay, so floor 1's boss is Bonzo, a 2-phase fight. The first phase, he spawns extremely weak enemies and runs away like you because he's a clown, and you can just stab him. His second phase, he yells yikes and comes back to life, actually attacking you. Nothing is too threatening except for his spin attack, in which you can just hide behind one of his big pillars to stay completely safe. Floor 2's boss actually has complexity. His first phase has 4 mini-bosses you have to defeat. The main threat here is the undead priest, who will just heal up the other mini-bosses until you eventually defeat the priest. The warrior automatically targets the player who is dealing damage to the priest and deals heavy damage to you. His second phase, he revives all the mini-bosses and becomes attackable himself. You can completely ignore the others though, and just attack Starve to defeat him and win the fight. Floor 3 has a new feature on the floor, trap rooms. There are 2 trap rooms variants, this one and this one. This first one can be cleared by flicking the lever under the strip, going up the stairs and blowing up this wall, flicking the lever in the wall, and then doing the short parkour. The secrets are here and here. The other room has a hidden lever in this rock, and then the rest of the room can be cleared by flicking the second lever and going back down. The secrets are here and here. There's also new shadow assassins, which are dangerous but should be easily taken care of. The boss has 2 phases. In his first, you have to defeat all 4 of his guardians within 10 seconds of each other, or he will revive them all together. Otherwise, he will revive them one by one at half health. Each guardian has some strong attacks, and you should especially avoid the Chaos Guardian. Once that's done, he becomes the guardian and you have to defeat him personally, and he has some strong attacks. Floor 4 has another new addition, Frozen Adventurers. These are strong lost adventurers that can freeze you in place and deal a lot of damage. You need good lifesteal to deal with these, and they're a big threat to mages and archers as a result. Get someone else to leap to you and deal with it. The Watcher also has 2 new friends this floor that zap you if you try to cheese his fight, so don't do that. Moving on to Thorn's boss fight, he spawns a bunch of dangerous animals that attack you, so do your best to survive them. Once 50 are defeated, a spirit bear spawns which you have to kill to get a spirit bow, which is the only way you can damage Thorn. No pressure, but you have to hit this one bow shot to deal a quarter of Thorn's health, repeat 4 times to win. You can use a ferocity build to deal multiple damage hits per spirit bow shot, and if you die, there are fairies in the crowd you can get a revive from. Floor 5 has new threats, and they are Fells. Fells are annoying endermen that are invisible until you walk right up to them and that charge at you, upside down. These can make clearing rooms slower, especially as you cannot see them easily, and can deal high damage if you're caught off guard. Other than that, it's a relatively easy floor to clear. Livid, the boss, is pretty dangerous too if you don't know what you're doing. The easy way to defeat him is for you and your team to teleport behind the Eagle statue and kill all of the Livids until you eventually get the other one. Pretty simple one-phase fight. Floor 6 has no new threats, but there is a threat that wasn't a problem before: Skeleton Masters. For whatever reason, the admins decided that this floor is the floor that Skeleton Masters will suddenly deal huge chunks of your health as damage. Encountering multiple of those in a room is a death sentence if you aren't careful, as 4 shots from these will kill you regardless of the items you're using. The boss fight has 3 phases, the first of which requires surviving 100 seconds of high damaging mobs known as terracottas. Regardless of your class, you're going to want a Livid Dagger or a Flower of Truth or a strong healer to keep you alive in this phase. There are also several golems which will have to be taken care of at some point, or their strength will kill off all the people in a later phase. The second phase drops 4 giants from the roof, 3 of which are relatively harmless, and then there's Bigfoot. If you aren't careful, Bigfoot's stomp will squish you almost instantly, so make sure you avoid it. Especially, make sure Bigfoot never goes under the low roof, or he will stomp you without you having time to react, which never ends well. In his third phase, he releases a giant combination of all 4 of the giants, which is arguably an easier phase than the last one. He still has his dangerous stomp attack, although the kill range on this is much better than the last one, and that is the end of that. Floor 7 has the scariest enemy of all, Necron. Actually, it's Skeleton Master. If you thought they were fun on floor 6, they only got better, as they now do even more true damage. Aside from that though, the floor's mobs are just 3 times harder than floor 6. Necron himself has 4 phases, the first of which involves 2 crystals and a parkour section. You can completely skip the parkour by intended game mechanics. This then activates the beam, which you have to lure Necron into to damage him. After you damage him enough, the floor opens and you got to phase 2. Phase 2 has these pillars that you have to crush Necron with. Once crushed, there's a 10-second window where you can deal damage to him. You push the pillars down by standing on the buttons in the corners that are protected by Shadow Assassins, and if you try to attach Shadow Assassins, Necron will target you in order to protect them. It's possible and actually quite easy to defeat him in a single crush if you can do enough damage, but if this is your first run, it's a safer option to do all 3 crushes and move on to the next phase. Just be aware that he becomes enraged and does a lot of damage after he gets crushed. Into phase 3, where there are 4 parkour sections, each with some terminals, 2 levers, and a big device. The terminals have simple inventory-based tasks that can be done in a few seconds. The devices are longer tasks like Simon says, and the levers are levers. A good speedrun strat is to use intended game mechanics to fly over the first gate and do some of the later terminals whilst people do the first one to save time. The 4th and final phase is a 1v1 against Necron. You need a decent level of tankiness and lifesteal to survive here. In this fight, he just flies at you and shoots skulls at you, and has several phases where he will return to the middle of the arena and destroys a platform, not before doing an attack called Nuclear Frenzy. If you don't deal enough damage during this Nuclear Frenzy attack, the explosion will slowly grow bigger and outwards until it eventually consumes the entire arena and results in an insta-kill for everyone in the dungeon. So keep pressure on him until he stops. Once defeated, you've won the catacombs! Congratulations! Want to go back to the basics of how dungeons work and how to clear the floors? There's a video for that here. And if you want to know the best gear for you to use to get past the floor you're stuck on now, there's another video for that here. There won't be any more dungeon guides on this channel until either Master Mode comes out or the next dungeon comes out. So these are the only guides you will ever need. Alright, see ya. Thanks for watching.